Hello everybody and welcome to another Twilight Zone review. Today it is Season 1, Episode 36, A World of His Own, written by Richard Matheson and starring Keenan Wynn as Gregory and Phyllis Kirk as Victoria. And another thing of note, this is the last episode of Season 1. So yes, I made it all the way to the end of a very long first season. Fortunately, this episode's pretty good and it has an appropriate ending, which I will talk about. So we start with a man named Gregory. He's a playwright, and he's in the room with a woman, and he seems happy enough, and she's really into him, and they seem to just be having a pleasant time. The only problem is his wife is looking through the window. So Gregory knows this, and he tells the woman she'll have to leave. She says not again, but she does leave. And when the wife comes in, we don't actually see what happened to the other woman. We just see a pair of scissors in Gregory's hands. I wonder what that could mean. That's a hint for later on. So they chat, and Victoria is humorously looking around the room for the other woman, trying to figure out what happened to her. And they keep talking, and eventually it gets around to the point that she did see another woman there. And they just keep talking about it, and they argue. And finally, it is explained by Gregory that the reason she can't find the woman is because she was created by him, that he is to the point now where he can make his fictional characters come alive. Of course, she doesn't believe him and tells him that she's going to have him committed. So he says, well, let me show you, let me give you an example. So he tells her how he does it. He pulls out rolls of films. He says he describes someone, and then he takes that piece of film and he throws it in the fire and they come to life. So he does that, and she still doesn't believe him. So he says, I'll have to make, Mary appear before you. So he starts describing Mary. Victoria's about to leave because she's had enough of this, but when she opens the door to leave, Mary is there. Well, this still isn't enough for Victoria. She still doesn't believe this. And she thinks it's a plot to make her insane. She says they must have a secret passage or door somewhere, and, she's going to get to the bottom of this. So then, because that still doesn't convince her, Gregory decides he'll have Mary disappear right in front of her, and Mary doesn't like this. She says, why do you keep doing this to me? But for the sake of proof to Victoria, he does it. He actually makes Mary disappear right in front of Victoria. So now she acts very compassionate towards him, but it's all a trick just to get out. She tries to get the key to leave. Again, at this point, I would start to wonder if maybe he's telling the truth, I think. I mean, the woman did disappear right in front of her. This seems a bit odd to me. But anyway, she tries to leave again, and he creates an elephant. And I don't really know, to be honest, but I gotta believe that that's a real elephant, because it looked pretty real, and I don't think they had the special effects to do that back then. So that was pretty cool. It was a little random to just see an elephant, but the elephant blocks Victoria from leaving. So she says, call off the elephant and I'll stay. So he does, but she's still being mean at this point to him. And, Gregory says, I did all this to try and save our marriage, and they go on for a little bit longer. And Victoria says, first chance I get, I'm still going to leave and have you put away. She's still not believing after she saw an elephant. I thought that was a little odd. I mean, how would he trick her? How would the elephant get there any other way? But that's just a slight thing there. So we come to the point where he has a secret compartment in the bookcase. So he didn't have a secret passage, but he did have a secret compartment. And he pulls out an envelope with the name Victoria on it. So, of course, he also created Victoria, we find out. He has her film there. But he does actually show some compassion here. He says he brought this on himself because he's the one that created her this way. So, it's his fault. He'll have to live with it. But she's still mad and doesn't believe him. She doesn't believe that she could be created film, even though it's pretty obvious about halfway through this episode, in my opinion, that that's what it is. So she actually takes the envelope from him and throws it in the fire to prove that she is real and he is crazy. But what happens is she actually does disappear, so we find out that Gregory did create her. So he goes back to the tape recorder very quickly, figuring I'll have to recreate her. And he starts to say, you know, her name is Victoria into the machine, and he decides, wait a minute, I've already tried that. So he starts saying her name is Mary, which is the other woman. So he brings the other woman, which was a better match with him, back in a humorous episode. But it's not done yet. We get one last twist, and this will be a spoiler. We get an appearance by Rod Serling. Now, Rod Serling's given a lot of narration on episodes, but this is the first time that he actually appears on camera in an episode. He did not do that throughout the first season. We just heard him. So he appears, and this is before his closing narration. He explains that things like this could never happen in the real world, only on a TV show like Twilight Zone. And Gregory is still in the scene with Mary, and he tells Rod Serling, you shouldn't say things like that. So he pulls out an envelope with Rod Serling's name on it. Yes, and throws it in the fire, and Rod Serling disappears. Easily the best comedy gimmick of the first season and probably of the whole show. It's fitting that they did this on the last episode of the season. And then we get Rod Serling's closing narration about how Gregory must be controlling the Twilight Zone, and we see Gregory and Mary sitting happily just as the episode started. So a nice, fun episode to end the season. One of the better comedy episodes. Very light with all kinds of plot holes and logic, but I think this episode was just supposed to be fun and, you know, not overanalyzed for its plot. It is a little over the top in places. Not all of it totally works, but enough of it works to make it good. Normally, I was going to give this episode a 3 out of 5. I thought it was solid enough. But because of the great gag at the end, I'm going to give it an extra 0.5 because I really thought that was really great. And the first time I saw it, I really thought it was funny. So I'm going to go 3.5 out of 5 for A World of His Own, 3.5 out of 5. And I want to thank everybody and just let you know that Season 2 reviews are on the way very soon. Thanks for watching.